Hello everyone, welcome back to Larry's Anything Goes. Hopefully you're having a great day. If you've been watching Larry's Anything Goes programming, you know that we are not only providing great financial intelligence content as much as possible by interviewing other financial professionals, professionals in the travel industry, real estate industry, etc. and so forth, but we provide various services when it comes to specific products that we sell, from anything that you would actually find on Amazon or actually at Walmart, etc. and so forth. And we are actually providing specific products due to today's current crisis and whatnot to ensure that we provide the right services and products that you need at a reasonable price when it comes to medical face masks, when it comes to hand sanitizer, and when it comes to latex gloves and things of that nature, and etc. and so forth, toilet paper, paper towels. But we have what you need. Also, family, don't forget that Larry's Anything Goes is a part of an affiliate marketing network known as Gold Standard Partners, where you have the opportunity to buy cryptocurrency and allow others to invest with you as becoming an affiliate marketing partner. And obviously, if they purchase a package with the program, you're able to make money off their package purchases and make money off of their crypto purchases and things of that nature. If you want to join, please follow the links in the description, and I'll give you a call as soon as you sign up and purchase a package, and we'll go from there. But definitely, it's all about the best way to make money moves is to have currency with one another and to ensure that currency is always being spoken of on all levels, so it benefits everyone and not just one specific person. That's a lot of things that people forget about. So think about joining the program, and we'll be able to go from there. But if not, either way, it's always appreciated. And thank you for watching. And hopefully you guys have a great day and continuously make money moves so you don't live broke like a fool. Take care. As you can see, with our various products, we have our financial apparel, as you see, wearing There's Anything Goes t-shirt, financial intelligence is sexy, face masks, latex gloves, things of that nature, to obviously ensure the safety of you and your family all at the same time. We want to ensure that you get the best products and see the actual products that we're actually providing for you, and giving you another view of not only the shirts and the medical masks, but actually another view of actual latex gloves and the actual hand sanitizer. Because one thing we've learned throughout this unfortunate crisis is that we have to take more precautionary measures to ensure not only the safety for ourselves, but for our families. And having a great pair of hand sanitizers, latex gloves, and medical face masks will ensure that safety. And with all that being said, hopefully you guys will check out our online store. We have the various products that you see here. With a couple of clicks, especially if you're paying via PayPal, it makes life that much easier for you to purchase our various products, especially during this unfortunate situation. You see the apparel from Larry's Anything Goes. We have the medical products when it comes to hand sanitizer, latex gloves, medical face masks, and things of that nature, and various other products. So please check out Larry's Anything Goes. Support small local businesses. We greatly appreciate it, and hopefully that you have a good day. How goes the family? How goes it? Welcome back to Larry's Anything Goes. Hopefully you guys having a great and exceptional day. Man, it's great to be live again on a Saturday, so it's all good in the neighborhood. And we have a lot to talk about tonight. Um, like I said, I was going to have HBCU graduate on here, but he couldn't make it, and it is what it is. So first, as I always say, if you're doing a great three things, like, share, and subscribe. I always just greatly appreciate that. But on that note, let's just get down to the brass tactics, family. All right, let's just get down to it. Let's just get down to it. So first, let's get into the HBCUs, historically black colleges. You know, I have family members family members and friends who have attended and graduated historical black college universities. You know, we all know the history of the HBCUs in regards to, excuse me, especially after the Emancipation Proclamation, when President Lincoln and the U.S. Congress at the time um, voted to end slavery. And this is obviously still during the specific Civil War and things of that nature. But um, and then the 15th Amendment, if I'm not, correct me if I'm not wrong, that stated that anyone born in the United States of America, regardless of the situation, would be a U.S. citizen. Um, but at the time, former descendants of slaves in the United States of America still could not attend most universities or darn near any universities within the country, regardless if they lived in Georgia, Massachusetts, et cetera, and so forth. You know, if one wanted to, because even if you look at that time frame back during the 1800s, most people did not. It wasn't like nowadays where anybody could get a student loan, and that's another economic setup to begin with. But it wasn't, you know, back then it's like, you know, to be able to attend a university, you know, it wasn't for the most part free, depending on the quote unquote colony or the state that you lived in. But another thing is not everybody was getting a degree. Most people were labor workers, even if you were free, even if, you know, even if you were quote unquote, you know, white or Caucasian, most people were labor workers. You know, not everybody was a business owner. You know, you had to have the people still build houses and build bridges and et cetera and so forth, farmland. And you know, you had to have, not everybody was, you know, and then you didn't have as many white collar jobs back then compared to you had mostly blue collar jobs back then, whether it was manual labor, somebody working on the docks. Then it moved into people working on the railroads. You know, the thing, you know, just, you know, we really, you know, think about it, you know, about the quote unquote US economy during that time frame, you know, the 1800s at least. You know, it was just a lot of people, they could just buy a plot of land. They didn't have, and they built themselves a house, and they didn't have to have a quote unquote job. They just made money from selling products from their land. Um, they'd hunt what they ate, and they ate what they grew. You know, that was, you know, America was more of an agricultural society back then when you think about it. So that, I'm just keeping it real on that aspect. But at the end of the day, you know, the purpose of having historically black colleges was to ensure that black people who were former descendants of slaves could get a college education, for quote unquote an all for all black school. Um, the history, let me get this right, of HBC. Yeah, there we go. But anyways, and so that's the beauty of HBCUs. I got nothing but love for, I'm from Virginia, so Virginia has a bunch of HBCUs. Norfolk State, my friends went from high school, went to Norfolk State. My brother and his kids went to Virginia State, they call State, which is in Petersburg, Virginia, right outside of Richmond, Virginia, where my dad's side of the family is from. So I got, you know, I grew up in Northern Virginia, right outside of Washington, D.C., Howard University. Okay, so the list can go on and on. You know, Baltimore is about an hour and 50 minutes away. You know, so I'm surrounded by HBCU. I've been surrounded by HBCUs my whole life, so I got nothing but love and respect for HBCU, especially the people that attend there, and especially people who work there who actually care, and not the ones that are part of a lot of the backdoor dealings and shenanigans and the nonsense that have taken place, unfortunately, um, for a long time. And I hope that anybody who is an alumni at HBCU does try to at least a couple of times a year financially contribute especially if you're well-to-do, financially contribute to your HBCUs because they're desperately underfunded right now. And that's just another thing. That's another whole nother story for a whole nother day. Before I go forward, my personal opinion, I think the future of HBCUs is going to be a deadly one. Because the beautiful thing is, if you are quote unquote considered, if you're another race, so you could be from Pakistan, you could be white, you could be Hispanic, Asian, you could attend the HBCU on a minority scholarship. A friend of mine I used to work with, he was a Caucasian man, well, half white, half Mexican. And he went to Norfolk State and got his degree from there, Norfolk State University. And it was because he was able to go there for free. And then he got his master's degree by utilizing, because he was in the Navy, he was in the military. Then he was smart about he got his master's degree utilizing his military benefits for college and things of that nature. And he was able to milk that, because especially during the 9/11 timeframe, where you could go to school full time and get paid a salary. And plus he worked a full-time job. So he was, he was making money move. So that's what I said. It's like, it's not always about just benefiting one race all at the same time. But that's why I said, let me start off with this. I'm pro HBCU. I'm not anti anything, but I am definitely pro HBCUs. I have no problem with them, even though I didn't attend one. I attended another institution, but I'm pro HBCUs. And like I said, to me, when it comes to college nowadays, unless you're trying to specifically be a professor, because I think the college experience is a great, unique one. But in 2023, unless you're trying to be a professor, engineer, okay, let's run down the list: doctor, nurse, any medical profession, or lawyer, or you're going to school to get an IT certification, or actually skilled certification, because you still have you still, especially a lot of community colleges actually have a lot of skilled trade programs, especially in the more of the rural states, which I think is a smart thing to do, since most educational institutions got rid of what they used to call VOTEC, which was vocational training. I think that needs to be implemented into the school system even more so now, because we just live in a different world where skill sets matter more than degrees. Like I said, years ago, before the pandemic, when the tech companies got rid of that, having a degree requirement, because they were getting all these people who had master's degrees, but as to quote Dr. Claude Anderson, they mastered nothing. Okay. And when you're in a position where you have a bunch of, and I'm not knocking anybody with all these degrees, I got a bachelor's degree. There was no point for me to get a master's degree. But but a lot of institutions don't care. It used to be a time frame in America where, yeah, you could just have a degree in anything and you could get a job in something. And I met people who make six figures. They got degrees in psychology, but they were like a project manager, or at a corporation, or working for the government entity, doing whatever. But very smart people, very intelligent people, but they just utilize their analytical skills that they obtained while they were in school to do something else. I remember meeting a woman, very smart, very educated. She's a project manager, made $200,000 a year. And she said, yeah, what did she say? I got my degree in microbiology or something to that effect, or mechanical engineering. And she wasn't utilizing it on her job whatsoever, but very smart individual, but anyways, I digress. And with it, and I'm happy that I'm talking about this now, because with it being Black History Month around the corner, I'm hoping to have planning to have a panel of great Black professionals, great Black business people, and just giving talking perspectives of the current state of the African American community, or the foundational Black American community, and the current future for the Black American community from an economic standpoint. No political nonsense, nobody's religious beliefs. You believe what you believe. You vote for who you vote for. I don't care about that stuff. I care about the bottom dollar. Because when I get paid, I don't care who's paying me. When somebody buys from my store or contributes to my Cash App or Venmo, I don't care if they're doing what their political or religious beliefs are. So I don't play that game. That's high school mentality, in my personal opinion. Okay, there's no point of, as I heard today, if you guys all have the same, draw the same conclusions. It's kind of like life is like science in a sense. Science has a lot of mathematical equations, and if you have I heard the statement today and I loved it. If you have a very different amount of equations, but if you still come to the same conclusion of a goal, then who cares how you get there? The point is you get there. And that's how corporations work. That's how governments work. They would never, any government entity any corporation entity would never be able to function in an efficient and a professional manner if they did not, and I repeat, if they did not um, try to come together, even if they don't specifically agree on everything, but they're still trying to get to the same conclusion. Then they didn't try to come together and work as a team, they would not win. My football fans, if people don't work as a team, the team doesn't win the Super Bowl. Since the Super Bowl is coming up, I use that as a great reference all at the same time. I'm not a football guy, but I know most people are, so it is what it is. But anyways, so when you break down the history of HBCUs, and I just want to, like I said, this for me, I just want to read the simple um facts of it all, because it's an interesting story. It's a wonderful story when you think about HBCUs, historically black colleges. And I've always loved this topic. Like I said, unfortunately, I wish I would see more positive aspects of this stuff, but um it is what it is at the end of the day. And with Black History being here, um I just find it to be very, very interesting all at the same time. All right, so historically black colleges and universities are public and private institutions established by established before the Civil Rights Act of 1964, United States of America. From the inception, HBCUs, historically black colleges and universities, um, from the inception, they gifted black people with access to education, which was denied to them during slavery and segregation. And that's just, that at the end of the day, that's just, those are the main reasons why HBCUs were created. And actually, the first HBCU established was actually prior to the Civil War, which included Cheney University of Pennsylvania in 1837, University of the District of Columbia, then known as Minor School for Colored Girls in 1851, and Lincoln University in 1854. So a lot of history, and that's why, like I never went to Philadelphia that much, because I'd listen to people tell me, "Oh, don't do this, don't do that," because it's crime here. I'm like, no matter where you go in this world, you're gonna find something bad to talk about it. So that's why I've been like, I'm going to go to Philadelphia again this year, because one, I have an interest there, and two, there's just so much great history there that it's like I don't need to listen to anybody else's opinion. I got to be an adult and form my own opinion. So I leave it at that. So that's the history of HBCUs, and like I said, I'm for them. I just I think, before I even get into the story about the existence of them in the future, I just hope that they get their act together, not only from a funding perspective, one, but two, definitely from a perspective of if they have more celebrity coaches in the future, which I doubt they might not, because they're having such a bad track record. That they learn how to play ball from a fair perspective, one, and then two, just do a better job of promoting. Three, get more celebrities and other athletes involved in promoting the games and the schools as a whole. And then another thing is get into the business of being in business. Because this is another thing that HBCUs are just going to have to do, in my personal opinion. Just like other universities, college is a business. Everything in the United States of America is a business. Marriage is a business. Having kids is a business, whether people want to believe it or not, because when you have kids, you got to buy stuff for them. Therefore you are investing in other people's business. And obviously, when you are raising your children, you're investing time and energy and love into them so that they can be productive citizens at the end of the day. So everything is an investment in the United States of America. And a lot of times people don't want to have that kind of marriage is one of the biggest businesses in the United States of America, but people don't want to have that discussion. All right. You want to bring your religious and your beliefs in, your spiritual beliefs in. I have no issues with that. But if one is not willing, like I always tell people, if I hear a grown person, especially a grown man, not talking about the investment aspect of something and the business aspect of something, then I have to say that they are full of it. And I'll just leave it at that, because everything in the United States of America, a capitalist society, which is a great thing, is a business. Love it or hate it, it is what it is. It's a business. The dollar is involved somewhere. But a lot of people don't want to have that discussion, because they actually act like they get offended when I say these things. And I just start laughing. I'm just like, well, you debate it all you want to, but if you're renting, ask your landlord, is you living in a house out of love, or it's because you're paying the rent? It's the same thing if you're a homeowner. You ask the bank or the mortgage company, Hey, can I just stay here for free? Because, we got love for each other. We're all Americans. Asking that question. And if you don't have a mortgage, you ask the tax man, unless you live in the state of West Virginia, hey, man, I love this place. I got love for this kind. I got love for you as a government. So can I not pay my property taxes? And then you ask the same thing with the insurance company. Hey, I got love for you, State Farm or whomever. Can I not pay my insurance or whatnot? And there you have it. Okay, I'm just like I said, everything in the United States of America is a business. You get divorced and somebody's mad, whether it's male or female. I've seen even the wives have to pay alimony and whatnot. So it is what it is. You die. That's called death certificate. Everything costs money. Everything costs money, and your death helps someone else's business, whether it's people that are cleaning up the mess and the property, people that are getting the government that or entity that might get access to everything into your estate, people that are selling everything that's a part that you used to have, things that age, people that inherit what you might have, the money in your bank account, the money in your assets, 401k accounts, individual retirement account. I go on, the people that have to do the autopsy, they're getting paid. The coroner's office, the funeral home. Even if you say, well, I just want to, burn the ashes, that costs money. I want to shit the body, that costs money. Got to provide a death certificate, that costs money. Disposing of the body, that costs money. Everything costs money. Everything is a business in the United States of America, and I cannot stress that enough. So, anyways. Woo! I take a breath on that one, man, because I'm just like, I really just got to get my point across on that one. Okay. But anyways, so the last time I talked about HBCUs was because of good old Coach Prime, aka Deion Sanders. Like I said, I'm not a sports person. I'm not going to act like I am. I'm not knowledgeable in sports whatsoever. I don't watch sports. It is what it is. I'm a podcast guy. I like to read books. That's what I like to do in my downtime. Workout, travel. That's what I do. Now, this happened as of a week ago. Coach Ed Reed, as Bethany Cookman coach after 25 days claims school will not ratify contract. Now, this was the crazy thing, only after 25 days. Because he's a former NFL. Now, bear in mind, I did not know who this man was because, like I said, I don't watch sports. But former NFL star and Miami legend Ed Reed is out as the coach at Bethune-Cookman. He was hired to lead the football program at the historically Black university in Daytona Beach, Florida. He announced that the news on a Twitter post from his foundation on Saturday that explained how a breakdown occurred between himself and the school's administration. He stated, and I quote, "The university has been working with my legal team to craft contract terms with the language and resources we knew were needed to build a successful football program." That's how the statement read. "It's my desire," Mr. Reed stated, "it's my desire to not only coach football, but to be an agent of change that most people just talk about being. However, after weeks of negotiations, I've been informed that the university won't be ratifying my contract and won't make good on the agreement we had in principle, which had provisions and resources best needed to support the student athletes." He stated, and I quote, "I was committed to coaching and cultivating a relationship with the university, players, community, and the fans. It's extremely disappointing. Things won't be happening." Earlier in the week, Reed apologized for the content of a vulgar rant about the resources of the school's program that surfaced on social media. In his apology, he said his language and tone was unacceptable as a father, a coach, and a leader. Now, before I go forward, sometimes things just don't work out with an employer. That's just one thing. I don't care what job, wherever you work at, sometimes things don't work out. And you can, then a lot of times you can't have the best job on the planet and the money could be right, but then next thing you know, you get a new boss, the company gets bought out, things happen, co-workers leave, whatever have you, and then the whole dynamic and the atmosphere of the great job that you have is all she wrote. And that's the downside of having a job for anybody. I don't care how much money you make, because a lot of times it takes the old saying, it takes one rotten apple to spoil the bunch. And in this situation, but I will say the problem in the social media world is that everybody wants to put out all of their personal information and all the time of how they personally feel about a situation. Now, hey, I'm guilty of this. I've done this myself on a multitude of occasions, but I don't. It's usually about like I'm a gym rat. I love working out. Okay, so I like gym etiquette. A lot of people, most people don't particularly care for gym etiquette, meaning don't use the gym as a social. For a lot of people, going to the gym is a place where people want to socialize. Like they might as well be at a bar or a restaurant or a nightclub, whatever. Me personally, I like to work out, have my headphones on, listen to my music, be on about my business because I'm a grown man and I got things to do. Anyways, long story short, I will say with all sincerity that um, I'll put on social media like, hey, especially during the months of January and March, the people, new year, new me people, I'm not mad at you, but I'm like, hey, try to practice some gym etiquette. That's as far as I go as putting any real personal business out there on social media, and I'm good with that. All right. My and then this channel slash podcast, I put out some personal opinions. But one thing you will never see in all the videos I've ever made and all the social media posts I ever put out there, I do not talk about my job or employer that I would like to potentially work with, or even if something doesn't work out with an employer, sometimes just don't say nothing. And I know his position is different than most working people because he's an NFL star athlete. People had high hopes for him working with this specific institution in Daytona Beach, Florida. I understand that completely, but a lot of times certain things just don't need to be aired out on the social media world, the Twitter sphere, the whole nine. Not everybody needs to know your business. That is just one thing I can say with all sincerity. Certain things just need to be kept quiet. And people like, and a lot of times people are like, well, no, man, we got freedom of speech. Yeah. But a lot of times you pay for freedom of speech. It's one thing when your paper's right, but even look at Kanye West. He had to pay for his freedom of speech. You're going to pay for your freedom of speech, regardless of the situation. Yeah, you have it. You might not get killed or imprisoned for saying something online, but financially, employers can say, we don't want to hire you because we figured you as a loose cannon, or because most states are at will, we just won't hire you for something. Well, and they'll just say, hey, well, we're going to go with another individual. We're looking for something else. People that are in the acting business, know the entertainment business, know this all the time, know this very well. They could be the best sensation. Nia Long was just, talking about how she was skipped for Charlie's Angels. Because I'm like, if she was going to be on that movie, I would have watched most of that movie because she's hotter than all those females on that movie. But that's just my personal opinion. But long story short, some things online you just don't air out. Sometimes you just got to shut up, suck it up, be the adult, and say, "Hey, didn't work out. I have nothing but love and respect for this institution. What I'll try. I'm going to maybe I would like to still be a great head coach, and I'll try other institutions in the near future. Maybe something to that effect." Because he's a public figure compared to most people. So I get that. You got to put a statement out, but especially when you make these videos, and the worst thing anybody can do is make a video. To me, this is my personal opinion. You don't have to follow it, but the worst thing anybody can do is make a video or put out a statement on social media when you are in an emotional state, when you are upset. Sometimes it's just best to shut up, go to the gym, go for a run, punch a bag, whatever. Talk to your people, but don't go online and let the world see you being pissed off and ticked off. That's just, to me, my personal opinion. I don't care what the situation may be. Now it's different. Like if you're being brutalized and there's a police brutality in situation, or somebody's really trying to kill you or try to threaten you, then yeah, go live on social media so you can have some evidence to document what's going on. Yeah, exactly. Because you're in a position where you're trying to defend yourself and live to see another day. So I get that. I understand that tremendously on some realness. But him going making a video, I'm just like, why? So, anyways, the article says ultimately it appears the relationship between Reed and the school and the Bethune Cookman school could not be repaired. Reed, 44, was hired on December 27 after serving in off-field roles on Miami's staff for the past 3 seasons. Reed replaced Terry Sims, who was fired in November after 7 seasons, and his arrival was only the latest jolt of superstardom for HBCU football after Deion Sanders' tenure at Jackson State University in Mississippi. The breakdown between Reed and the school only underscores the systemic gap between HBCU football programs and FBS programs in terms of investment, facilities, and overall resources. The Miami program that Reed played and worked for unveiled plans in December for 162 square football operations center that will cost more than $100 million. The cost of that facility alone is several times more than the Bethune-Cookman's annual athletic department budget, which is reportedly around $15 million. The football program also underwent cuts in recent years, according to HBCU Game Day. So at the end of the article ends off on this. And me, like I said, I get that football is a big deal because football is a revenue generating thing for, especially for colleges and whatnot. So I'm not mad at that, but I'm just like, Lord have mercy. That's a lot of money. Although we couldn't make things work at BCU, the goal and mission are still the same. Read the statement from Reed's Foundation. We serve to lead, lead to serve. We will continue with our pillars of respect, educate, empower, dream. Our efforts will remain about the kids through our foundation via our health and wellness programs, camps, and fundraising. We won't stop changing lives for the better as we've done for over 20 years. And I got, like I said, at the end of the day, I got nothing but love for people who are coaches, whether people, the ones that are getting paid, especially the ones who volunteer, people who are for a lot of people, sports and entertainment saved their lives. You know, some people grew up in like the most horrific conditions and situations, and being in sports programs literally saved their lives. And so I have nothing but love and respect for that, and especially people who work in those fields. That's just another thing to take into consideration. But I will say with all sincerity that like I said in the beginning, the future for the HBCUs to me is going to be about who's financially contributing, how much of a business are they going to make it outside of just get funding, being good at getting funding. Are you working with other Black institutions, Black entrepreneurs, or any entrepreneurs? Are you working with other banks and things of that nature? Are you buying real estate? You know, it's like you are quote unquote a public institution, or private, especially to the private ones who are considered private institutions. But I've seen public schools, like great example in my home state of Virginia, VCU, Virginia Commonwealth University. I had to think about that. My niece graduated from there. One of my coworkers graduated from there in Richmond, right in the heart of downtown Richmond, Virginia. They bought up one time. Richmond used to look like a real looked similar to what DC and Baltimore and Detroit and Philadelphia used to look like. A lot of rundown buildings, a lot of old homes, a lot of hoods, quote unquote. But now, you know, like every other city, it's been gentrified, and one of the biggest pillars of gentrification have been the Virginia Commonwealth University, VCU, meaning that they've bought up so much real estate that they've made most of the downtown area, they revamped it. You know, they bought up commercial real estate and residential real estate. They rent out the real estate to people, students, give the students a discount. They're leasing the buildings to businesses and things that, like, a lot of universities are in the real estate business, commercial and residential business. And I'm not going to act like I know what's going on at every single HBCU as far as the program as a whole, but I would hope in the near future that more and more HBCUs, do a better job of being in the business of being in business, specifically the real estate business. You know, because at the end of the day, you are a university institution. One thing I can say is, the last time I went to Virginia State University, my nephew, this is right before the pandemic, 2019, my nephew graduated from Virginia State, or as they call it, State in Petersburg, Virginia. I remember that I noticed that they revamped the whole school. Looks very, you know, brand new. I could tell that they're doing a great job of funding the schools and the programs as a whole, and utilizing a lot of, bought up a lot of, I was being told by one of the people who work there, yeah, they bought up a lot of real estate, residential and commercial, and that's helped out from a revenue standpoint, not just depending on the tuition from students, and not just depending on funding from the state government or the federal government. So that is a beautiful thing. And I think that's the only way, my personal opinion, outside of, you know, being great, being better at fundraising from athletes, entertainers, other entrepreneurs, and government institutions. But I believe that if they do a better job of learning how to be in the real estate business slash the commercial real estate business, will help them out tremendously in regards from a funding perspective, one. But two, and obviously, and another thing is having people that actually care about the freaking institutions, because I think that's the, like, I made a poem that I'm going to do later on today. It's called "There's No Respect Anymore." I just, the saddest thing is about today's world is that you have people value things more than they value people a lot of times. People value just going viral online than just value and actually enjoying day-to-day life. People don't value there's no real value and honor in a lot of jobs anymore. People don't take seriously, but regardless of the situation. And it's the same thing with education. I think that working in academia, the value of it is going down more and more every day because, one, in most situations, especially in public schools, the teachers don't make that much money, and they don't. And there's been various, different, not just coming from me. You can look at the data of the salary of the average teacher in the United States of America, one, but then two, the amount of videos that people who have left teaching that they've made on social media talking about, hey, we're tired of, not, we love the kids, we love teaching, but we're tired of being poor. We're tired of having to bring school supplies in because the school won't supply the right materials for the students. We're tired of having unsupportive administrators and school board members who've never been teachers and who care less because they're getting paid way more and they think they know better. I mean, I think that movie that had Ice Cube in it called what was it? Fist Fight or something to that effect. It was a good funny movie, but it had a good strong message about how teachers get treated like crap and how the school board and the principal, they were just milking the system and not caring about anybody but themselves. But at the end of the day, I think that's just how it is, and I think that's why even the future, not even just the future of HBCUs, but the future of teaching as a whole in the United States of America, unless that private and government organizations do more to increase salaries for teachers, one, and then two, you have more people that are actually on the school board, had make it a mandatory requirement that they have to have some sort of, not everybody, but at least a certain percentage has to have a requirement of, hey, I've actually taught in classes. I know what it's like. I can empathize and sympathize with teachers and their situations because I've been there. The only way you can truly uh, empathize with anybody's situation is actually going through it for the most part. And I really can't put it any other way on that aspect. So that's that when it comes down to what I think the futures of the HBCUs on that aspect. I'm rooting for them at the end of the day. Trust and believe that. I am rooting for them. Okay. Because they help shape the minds and give hope to a lot of the youth of today and the youth of tomorrow. So I can leave it at that. All right. So now let's get to some more craziness. The last topic of tonight, unfortunate situation that took place. I will say that with all sincerity. Um, it's a very bad situation that took place in Memphis, Tennessee. Speaking of people who, now look, I have police officers that are friends, co-workers, families. I've worked with a lot of police officers, family members who are police officers. So I'm not coming at every cop like they're bad. Not, every profession has good people. Every profession has bad people. There's really no other way to put it, family. Every profession has good. Every profession has bad. Let's just keep it real in that aspect. All right. And there are good cops and there's bad cops. I remember back in 2017, I've said this story before and I'll say it 1,000 times. I was lost in Portland, Oregon. I never forget this. I was felt so embarrassed because the city reminds me of a bigger version of Alexandria, Virginia, except surrounded by mountains and lakes and whatnot. But two, all the parking lots look the same. And I parked one place and I could not find my freaking rental car. I was walking around all downtown. And I finally saw a police officer and I was just like, excuse me, sir, I'm lost. I'm like, I'm visiting here from Virginia. I can't find my car. And he was nice enough to let me get in his car and made sure I didn't have no guns and weapons on me. Man was nice enough to let me in his car, white police officer. And He drove me around downtown. We finally found my car, took a picture, and I put it on Facebook because I was like, hey, look, there's good cops, there's bad cops. And today I was happy that I met a good cop. And that's what it was. Like that's just that, that's what I said. Like every profession has good people and bad people. Nobody can deny that. So when it boils down to it, accountability. And unfortunately, this situation took place. 5 police officers were fired because and this is over a traffic stop that turned deadly. And I'm just like, I know it's not easy to be a police officer. Hey, I've had police officers back when I was in college try to recruit me to work for them because of, I have the shaved head and the clean cut, and I was raised in a military household, military background. So, I looked like a prime candidate. I remember even interviewing for a part-time admin job with the police officers back when I used to work 2 to 3 jobs, and they was like, hey, why don't you join the police department? I'm just like, I know me, and my introvert mentality, personality. I'm not a public servant in that aspect. I don't do well dealing with the public when they're at people at their worst. I have an issue dealing with the public when people at their best. So dealing with the idea of trying to deal with people at their worst does not seem appealing to me. You know, um, and then I remember the one police officer recruit. He said, "Either so you're the type to just shoot people first and ask questions later." I said, "I probably would be. I don't know. I don't need to have a badge and a gun. I'm good. That's not me. I'll leave that to you guys. You are brave for doing that. God bless you." And I leave it at that. But Rodney Wells who held a picture of Tyree Nicholas, his stepson, at a rally this past Monday, where the case has provoked outrage among activists, and Mr. Nicholas's family has prompted state and federal investigations. 5 Memphis police officers were fired on Friday after the department found that they had used excessive force and failed to intervene or provide help during a traffic stop that involved a 29-year-old Black man who died in the hospital 3 days later, official says. The firings were the result of an internal investigation by the Memphis Police Department, come as the city braces for the release of police body camera footage that might provide clarity as to how the man, Tyree Nicholas, ended up hospitalized in a critical condition after the arrest on January 7th. Now, I know all 5 of the police officers who were involved in this traffic stop were Black. So it's not, we can rule out it being a race thing. But at the end of the day, right is right and wrong is wrong, and regardless of one's color, if you kill somebody for wrong reasons, and I'm saying to myself, 5 police officers, 1 person. I mean, I remember the days when people used to get outraged over the tasing. Now I wish they'd bring the tasers back, for God's sakes, because at least people live to tell the freaking story. But I'll leave it at that. All right. So the Memphis Police Department is committed to protecting and defending the rights of every citizen in our city. Sterling Davis, the police chief, said in a statement announcing that the firings on Friday evening. The egregious nature of this incident is not a reflection of the good work that our officers perform with integrity every day. And I'm sure it's not, unless, like I said, unless there's like a track record of a multitude of citizen complaints in regards to excessive force of police officers in this specific police department. I don't know, and I'm not going to act like I do. So I'm just leave it at that. So Mr. Nicholas was stopped by officers on suspicion of reckless driving on the evening of January 7th near the southeastern corner of the city. Police in an initial state said a confrontation occurred as the officers approached his vehicle. Mr. Nichols ran away. There was then another confrontation as officers arrested him. Mr. Nicholas complained of having shortness of breath, and an ambulance was called to take him in the hospital. Hospital officials said he died on January 10th. On Friday, the police department said that they had finished a thorough review of the circumstances surrounding this incident. They had found the officers violated its policies on excessive use of force, duty to intervene, and duty to render aid. So all these officers, I'm not going to read their names off because I'm not putting out. You can get that information online yourselves, but they've been fired. And of course, they got Ben Crump. Lord have mercy. I'm sorry. Every time I hear that name, I'll leave it at that. So at the end of the day, they've been fired. I'm sure that there's going to be there's some sort of a prosecution that takes place. The local prosecutors called in the Tennessee Bureau of Investigations to look into the case while Mr. Nicholas was still in the hospital. And on Wednesday, federal prosecutors in Memphis said that a civil rights investigation has been opened. So clearly, we'll see what happens and go from there. Like I said, for the police officers who care about the community that they police, because like I said, a lot of times people talk about, well, you need people that look like you to police the community that you police. But just because somebody looks like you does not mean that they cannot utilize police brutality or utilize excessive force. But I don't know all the information into the investigation or the situation that happened. So all this is from what the media has said, and then certain statements are allegedly. So let's just make that clear. But another thing is, like I said, the body camera footage has to be released, and once that happens, we can all go from there and draw all conclusions from there. But either way, it's a sad situation, and I don't wish this on anybody's family. You know, when because I would imagine when most people get stopped by the police, regardless of the situation, I guarantee majority of the officers want to go home to their, go home to their family or just go home, period. And the person who's being stopped wants to go home all at the same time. But when somebody uses excessive force and when somebody does wrong, then you got to be punished for doing wrong, regardless of the situation. I leave it at that. You do something wrong, you got to be punished for it. It is what it is, officer or assailant or criminal or whatever have you. But it is what it is on that note. And it's like I said, my prayers goes out to the family, and I'm hoping that that the families get justice if that is the case. So I'll leave it at that. But we've been on here for almost an hour, so I think I'm going to call it a night. But I thank you all for tuning in. This is interesting, educational, and like I said, in regards to the good cops out there and who are trying to do their best to police the community and go home to their families and treat citizens with dignity and respect, regardless of the situation, you got your hands full. I would what the professions of today's world that most people are just not excited about getting into anymore. I don't even think people really were at any time, but especially in today's world. And that profession is being a cop, being a teacher, being a corrections officer. Those positions. Now, being a firefighter is hard. Being a paramedic is hard. Shoot, I mean, that's what I said. It's like, but majority of the time, those positions you're not going to get rich. You're usually working for the city or the county that you reside in. You get good benefits. Those are benefits that are well earned, because in all those professions, even as a teacher, your life is being put on the line. You're dealing with a lot of stress, a lot of headaches, things of that nature. That's why even being in those professions, trying to eat the best you can, have the best diet the best you can, exercise as much as possible, get as much, those positions usually, you have annual leave and sick leave. So take as many mental health days as you need, because I think that one of the things that a lot of people had no choice to do during the pandemic was be at home a lot more. So having those mental health days. So I think that being in positions in jobs like that helps in that situation. But my personal opinion, don't get into those professions if you're not truly passionate about it. Like, I don't ever foresee anybody becoming a firefighter or a paramedic if they're not passionate about what they do. That's real talk. And I have to say the same thing for police officers, even corrections officers. I remember taking a tour back when I was in college, taking a tour of the county jail where I live at. I've never been to jail. I never want to go to jail. I'm good. Like, the most I've had is a speeding ticket or a parking ticket. I can deal with that. And I'll leave it at that. But yeah. But I remember listening and noticing one thing that all the corrections officers had in common. They all had people skills. Because in a sense, prison, county jails, it's a human warehouse. Whether you're for it or against it, that's what it is. So you have that, you're dealing with human people, quote unquote, that's the inventory, that are in jail for whatever crime that they're in jail for. And the one thing I respected about all the people that worked in the county jail is they just all had good people skills, because they're like, that's the only way you're going to be able to be effective in this business, is to have the right skills, because you're dealing with people on a regular basis, people who are cunning and conniving, people who are devious, people who might have just committed a bad crime and are not trying to, they're just trying to do their time until it's time for them to go. It's various different people on various different levels. So, very interesting. And it's the same thing being a police officer. You're out in the trenches. You never know what's going to come at you and whatnot. But I believe that if you become a police officer, and you're talking to a guy that got his degree in criminal justice, you need to have the people skills, and you need to actually care about the community that you police. I really can't put it any other way, because I've met two kinds of cops: ones that are smug, arrogant jerks, and the other ones that just have genuine, down to earth, good people skills, and they actually care about their jobs, and they care about the community that they're policing. And I just leave it at that. So on that note, family, do the great 3 free things: like, share, and subscribe. Hopefully you guys have a great day. As all moves, are you gonna live like a fool? And we're getting this thing going, and I still can't believe that January is almost over with, but we're gonna keep this train moving. And it's like I said, thank you to the new subscribers. I always got nothing but love and respect for you guys. So you guys just keep up the great work. And as I always say, just do the great 3 free things: like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for the Cash Apps. Thank you for the Venmos. Thank you for the PayPal contributions. I always put it back into the business. So, that's why I said it's like a merry-go-round. We just keep going round and round and round until we get through where we need to get to. So, and definitely do me a favor. Just share the content so I can get more subscribers, get more people to click on the videos, all that great stuff. So, I'll leave it at that. But it's been a crazy ride, and these topics for a lot of people are sensitive. Your opinions are going to be your opinions, and I respect them all regardless of whether we agree or not, because you have to remember, you don't always have to agree with somebody to get along with somebody. If that was the case, America would have flames by now. We live in a country where people can't disagree with people, and the civil war doesn't have to ensue. Some days I think other people would like a civil war to ensue, which, whatever. It is what it is. That's the world we live in, and I just leave it at that. But we're gonna keep this train moving, and let me know if anybody's out there is a fellow podcaster that is into financial intelligence and about making money moves. Drop comments. Email me. Everything's in the find me on my other social media platforms, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Find me. Let me know. Hey, we can collaborate. We get some things going and go from there. All right. On that note, I'm out. As I always say, make money moves, or you're gonna live broke like a fool. And as I always say, when somebody comes at you with the nonsense, you just got to give them this.
And you ain't got no slip mouth. And you ain't got no slip mouth. You ain't keeping it. What you doing up in here, boy? What you doing up in here, boy? Shit.
You just got to give it to them rugged and raw, just like that, and just do what you can do until you get the final call. All right. On that note, I'm out. Take care, and I'll see y'all later.
Don't hate the player, hate the game. Now.